Order, please. I'd like to make a statement of conformation with the Open Public Meeting Act. This meeting was called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Courier News and the Star Ledger on January 7th, 2016. In addition, copies of the notices were posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, on the Raritan Borough website, and filed in the office of the Borough Clerk. Notices on the bulletin board have remained continuously posted. Proper notice having been given, the Borough Clerk was directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Here.
Council President Kara?
Here.
Councilwoman Danila?
Here.
Councilman Fooey?
Here.
Councilman Giraldi?
Here.
Councilman Sibilia?
Here.
Alrighty, if we can have the invocation and
Bow down your heads. Please enlighten our minds to know truth. Direct our wills to act in good judgment so that what we know, what we do, and what we speak will be beneficial to our citizens, for our government, for our happiness, for honor and glory. Bless us one and all.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
it is now time to go into executive session. Is there something I should be reading for executive session?
The resolution number, the resolution.
Alrighty.
And state the subject.
It's slow, huh? There it is, got it? Thank you. Borough of Raritan Resolution Number 2016-1-24 Executive Session, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7 et sec., commonly known as the Sunshine Law, requires the Borough Council meetings to be open to the public except for discussions of certain subjects. And whereas the Sunshine Law requires that a closed session be authorized by resolution. Now therefore be resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Raritan, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, that the following portion of this meeting shall be closed to the public, and the meeting shall be resumed at the end of the closed session. Be it further resolved that the subjects to be discussed and the time of the public release of the minutes of the closed session are indicated below. Subject matter 1, litigation. Subject matter 2, attorney-client privilege. Time when matters, the circumstances under which the subject matter can be disclosed upon authorization by our borough attorney. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Kara?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sibilia?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience while we're in executive session. So we're out of executive session. And the first item on the agenda is for the open session is public comments. In accordance with section 29-1 of the Code of the Borough of Raritan, there should be a 5-minute time limit for speaking. Would anyone care to say something at this point in time? If not, I'd like to close the public session, public comment section. Approval of minutes. You'll have a copy of the December 15th minutes. Council, we do these separately or together?
You can do the 15th together, Mayor. So it's going to be Council, I don't know who's here, obviously, Council Danila.
Right.
Clay.
Understood. So we'd like to approve, a motion to approve the minutes of December 15th executive session and agenda work session / regular meeting. Is there a first?
Make a motion. Second.
Second. Any discussion? Changes? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Abstain.
Council President Kara?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Abstain.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sibilia?
Yes.
Thank you. January 3rd, 2016 reorganization meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
For a second?
That's it.
Councilman Sibilia. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Bray,
Yes.
Council President Kara,
Yes.
Councilwoman Danilo,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi,
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia.
Yes.
Hi. On the work session, which is item 8, number 1, redevelopment. Before we start, I would just like to mention that I failed to mention before, but I did invite Mr. Weber, who is our redevelopment counsel with the firm of D. Francesco and Bateman and Company, just to be fully aware, and he's going to just sit and participate, and we can talk to him afterwards. Is there, Mr. Forgione, you ready, sir? Yes, sir. Thank you. This is a redevelopment project being proposed for the 3rd Street area by JMF Properties. The principal is Mr. Forgione. Yes, sir.
Mayor,
Please. I understand that may be rickety, I saw it once. It was before my time.
no, it's, no, I just.
Yeah. Is it possible to have that face this way so the camera can focus on that?
I think we really want to have the council focus in on it.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
well, respect.
I mean, so we can all see it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Would you please introduce yourself and your associate, and you may begin.
Thank you very much for taking the time. I sent a letter to the administrator and you. Hope we can get some time, and thank you very much for getting back with us and setting up this meeting, so I appreciate your time. We're going to be no more than 20 minutes. My name is Joe Forgione. I'm the founding member of JMF Properties. My associate Kevin Purdy and I have worked on assembling approximately 12 parcels of land known as Block 81, lots 1 through 10. Some of the lots have 1.01 designation, but all in all, there's 14 lots that we're assembling. On the 14 lots, all the lots are encumbered by structures. There's about 14 structures to be demolished. We've taken this is sheet 18 of your tax map, and in red is the area in which we're here to present tonight. And again, it's block 881, lots 1 through 10, and some have designations of .01. There's 14 structures. The largest parcel is known as the Somerset Springs. That's the largest structure. It's got about 10,000 square feet of structures that need to be removed. Out of the 14 parcels, there's about 5 to 6 which are owner occupied. Of those, we have entered into agreements with 5 of them, owner occupied. The others are tenanted rental units and the like. And we've been pursuing each and every property owner. We have some pending. The one here at the corner was a very difficult man to find. We finally got in touch with him, and we believe that we're going to enter into an agreement with him as well. When you take all 14 parcels of land, it equates to about just under 3.5 acres. Right? So we hope that our presentation tonight the council will agree that this is an area where you would consider designating it in the area in need of redevelopment.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Everybody knows the site that we're looking at, First Avenue Railroad Tracks,
Yeah, we're
3rd Street, and 2nd Avenue.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry. No problem.
I just want to make sure everybody's on board.
It's about, when you put all 14 lots together, it's about 3.5 acres. And our proposal is to develop a 4-story wrap deck residential project with approximately 300 plus units. So what we've given out to you tonight is a site plan and typical elevation And we've engaged a planner, John McDonough, to prepare a fiscal analysis which shows you the tax generated from a project of this magnitude for the town. So just to go through it, it's a 4-story stick frame with a wrap deck. The deck is not visible from the streets. Just go to that. That sheet right here. We have 3rd Street below, 1st Avenue on the side, down by the railroad track, and 2nd Avenue here. The gray area here is a wrap deck, okay? And wherever you see the peach would be building, the green are courtyards, which bring light into the interior units. The deck is visible from the train station, and you enter the parking deck off of First Street. Along 3rd Street, we have a courtyard with a drop-off area, and in the photo, you'll see there's somewhat of a cul-de-sac kind of scheme, which would be placed right here, and that would be used for drop-off area. Okay. We propose a unit mix of 45% 2 bedrooms, approximately 50% 1 bedrooms, and about 5% studios. We have a projected rent in order to, under a pilot, where you pay, the taxes are 10% of the gross rental income. We've associated with rents, we've done a market study to see where we would position these type of units. So for a 2-bedroom, you're $2,300 a month, a 1-bedroom is $2,000 a month, and a studio is about $1,650. These just for the first, second, the second, third, and fourth floors are mirror images of one another. Really the change would be on the first floor, where we're proposing to build approximately 6,000 square feet of amenity space. Typically, the way a building like this works is you have 2 lobbies, one for the residents only with direct access walking to the train. This is the secondary lobby where you would have amenity space. You would have a leasing center, you'd have a fitness center, a club room, you'd have a virtual fitness, you'd have a meditation and yoga room. Buildings of this magnitude have to be, we use a term called over-amenitized. When they come home, they want everything there. We see this as a true TOD, which is transit-oriented development. It's very close proximity to your train station, which we think is underutilized. And I think that something like this would bring a lot more ridership and a lot more activity at that train station. One of the important amenities to the building is that wrapping deck, is the parking deck. For instance, if your apartment is on the 4th floor, you drive up to the 4th floor deck, and you direct access to the corridor leading to your unit. So we think that's a great amenity from all standpoints, from protecting from weather, security, and the like. So we think it's something that's very, very important. In addition to that, my firm has entered into a joint venture with a company out of Boston called Zaxter. Zaxter is a bike sharing program. It's similar to the City Bike in New York City. They've privatized it for developments like this. So they come in, they install a bike rack, they give you an app with these silly things, and you swipe it, and you take the bike, and you use the bike to the downtown center. We also, in something like this, we add 1 or 2 electric car charging, and similar to the bike sharing, we're talking to companies like Enterprise Car, where they keep a car on site, similar to a Zip car, and we have a car sharing program. We're seeing projects like this, true TODs, with this proximity to the train, parking anywhere between a space per unit to 1.26, 1.5 at the max. We parked this today just under 1.5, or about a 1.27, 1.3. We think it's ample parking. We're seeing a lot of, and that's, you'll see that in the bedroom mix, you have more one bedrooms than two bedrooms. We see that much more in demand. We've also studied some other projects in the region, and we see more of a demand for the one bedroom than the two bedroom. Again, a project of this magnitude and the amount of the demolition, the environmental, there's some substantial environmental concerns with these Somerset Spring. In order for a project like this to take off, it really needs to be designated as a redevelopment. The redevelopment shows stability in taxes, which is much easier to finance, and it takes out the uncertainty as to what the taxes will be. So that's something that we would like to discuss with you in our presentation, and our proposal would be to ask the council to engage a planner and do the blight, something known as a blight study, to see if it complies. Right now, the total tax on all 14 parcels is $88,854 per year. The tax through the county and what is distributed to the county, the difference is that the amount of money coming to the town out of that 88,000 is 25,750. So you're passing just under $60,000 of the tax to the county.
The county and school.
Yeah, school.
County and schools, I'm sorry.
60%.
Right. On the first year stabilization, we gave you a chart which shows you on the third year, it's the second one. So that's a 30-year spreadsheet. Under year one, under stabilization, again, currently you're keeping $25,750. After the first year of stabilization, the town receives $720,000. Nationally, rents are going up anywhere between 4 to 6.5%. Nationally, rents are increasing at a rate of 3%. In the Northeast, they're rising at a rate of 4 to 6%. And the closer you are to a train station, we see more of a stabilization, less vacancy, and the ability to increase taxes, rental rates. We also had our planner, John McDonough, do a study on how many school-age children he believes that a project like this would generate. He suggests that there's 6 children, that would be generated in a project of this magnitude. And again, its design, the common corridor, the elevator, parking deck, no real outside amenity other than seating areas, doesn't lend itself to attract families with children. Our target market here is basically young singles, young married, roommates, and forever single. We see that becoming the trend. We're completing a redevelopment project in Denville right now. We just started leasing Not One Child. It's at the train station in Denville. We're seeing a wide range of demographics. Relocation, where the husband is working in New York, or the wife is working in New York. One has been relocated to the New York area. One will take the train, the other one is going to look for a job where they can drive. So we're seeing a lot, 2 in particular, that sold their home and they're using the rental as a second home. And the fact that they have a garage and the rental would be a second home. So they're spending the majority of their time in Florida in a warmer climate. What a project like this brings to your downtown, and something that you can't put a number on, but it really helps the merchants in your downtown. It brings some kind of mass to what's desperately needed in the housing market, and this is where we see the trend. If you have any questions, I told you I'd be brief, but if there's any questions?
I got a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying, a lot of these people you believe are gonna take the train, how are they gonna get to the train?
They walk.
Where's
One
they
block.
gonna walk?
Yeah, why don't we, like, go back to the text?
They're gonna walk.
They walk to the
Yeah. Where they gonna walk, okay?
So, this is an aerial, here's the train station,
I
right
get
here. It's not a very far walk.
that. No, I know that,
Yes,
but I didn't know that there was a path back there. I know a lot of people like to cut through the church to go through there.
You
Okay.
can't, you
That's
can't
what
cut
I-
through the church.
Okay.
There's a path there currently. We have met with New Jersey Transit in all of our redevelopments where we've offered, right now, there's probably not enough covered areas for ridership. We'll come in, we'll put the concrete in so long as they put the covered area.
Yeah, okay.
We can work with New Jersey Transit if that's something that you would like us to further explore to improve that path.
Oh, yeah, I never, listen, for my whole life, I never walked back there, so I always,
That's where the parking lot is.
I know where, listen, I know where it is, but again, I would just jump the fence of St. Anne's and walk through the parking lot. That's what I would do.
You can't do that.
Okay.
It's not.
That's why I was asking, and then you only believe six kids?
That's,
In total, like in total, not like,
in
for the,
total, sir.
wow, out of 350 units.
306.
Okay, that's, I have another question, because I have a bunch of firemen here, and this kind of relates to them. Sometimes when people come in and they develop, they kind of have a plan with the fire, sometimes they help them out or anything. So, I'm not, I don't know if it's gonna go through or it's not, but I would ask you to always, we got some volunteer firemen here, and, if something was to happen, they come help you out, always try to take care of the volunteer firemen.
Understood. The building is a fully sprinklered building.
Mhm.
It's probably a 3A building, I'm not sure, because of based on the volume and the codes. But certainly that's one of the review processes going through police, fire, and environmental.
What type of timeline, if everything were to go forward, would you have on this project?
We would, as soon as we had the approvals, we would move forward and begin the construction.
So what in your mind is that timeline?
It depends, it really, in large part, is up to you. In Maplewood, we purchased the former PSE&G building. We had the designation, the plan, the site designated as redeveloper, the redevelopment. We were designated as the redeveloper. The ordinance was passed in less than 2 months. The council there met twice a week, and so did the planning board, so they were able to get it done in less than 2 months. I don't, if you look at the condition of the property, especially the Somerset Spring, I don't think that the planner you choose to write the report would argue that the site is not being utilized in its highest and best use.
Well, I agree with that. Did you look at the roads surrounding, any issue, problem, anything crop up about any of them that you would like to talk about, or no issue at all?
We chose to come off of First Ave for the parking deck and consolidate any car traffic off of First. We see whatever traffic's gonna be generated from this would be visitor parking or drop off at X and that sort of thing. We could look at that as part of your traffic study.
There is some congestion there several times during the day, let's stick to the roads.
The people that are coming here are people that are in the area, and you'd be surprised at the pent-up demand for this type of product. Some of the comments that we're getting in Denville is that it's nice that I sold my house in Montville, and I didn't have to downgrade in finishes. And what they like, again, is the clubhouse, the pool, and the like. So it's a lifestyle. So what you're trying to build here is not just another rental community. You're really there's a lot of competition. We over-amortize the building because I think that It's just the lifestyle. People are looking for a lifestyle more than just a place to live.
You would be responsible for trash and snow removal and all that? Right?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's not something we would have to do.
I got another question with pulling out of that place?
Yep.
Because it's not, right, there's a traffic light at this intersection here, so when they pull out, right, am I
You're right.
up here? So we're gonna allow people to make a left-hand turn. The only reason why I say that is traffic there, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 at night, or 7 to 9 in the morning is, I think, crazy. So I would just think that making a left out of that place would be dangerous.
Okay, one of the things that we, with the traffic study, we will analyze, maybe the signalization at this intersection may need to be changed. The left turn out may need to be restricted, that would come out of our traffic study.
No, yeah, I would just hope that you would look into it, because there's also, there's kind of a dip, so I would think, the visibility isn't always that great. I mean, I drive up every morning and it backs up sometimes to that traffic light from 202.
But you're counting on, I would assume that the majority of people
We're
are
gonna
going to
commute,
train
train.
station and not be using their personal vehicles.
We're seeing it both ways, and it's really important to show that. There is a certain amount of 25% or better that really desires this type of product. And so they will come here and still commute with the car. I'm not here to say that 100% of the residents are going to use the train. A good part of them absolutely will. I will tell you that in the 2-bedroom, at least one does. That's at least what we're envisioning, especially with something so close to the train.
Right.
I mean, otherwise, why would you want to be so close to the train?
Well, obviously, it's a big asset.
Right.
It is. Yeah.
The amenities that we put in the finishes, we're breaking ground in Plainfield. There we're including a theater. So when you look at these demographics and you start to look at our competition, that's something that we may need to add. We may need to drop a unit and add a theater. Because it's not just about leasing up and stabilizing the asset, it's retaining them. And more often than not, and when I first started in the business, it was always 85% 2 bedrooms and the rest 1 bedroom. Today we're seeing the shift, so that's why our mix is much higher on the 1 bedroom. That's one. And number two, we're seeing people wanting to take 2-year leases. They're not renting because they're trying to get into a school system. They're renting by choice. That's really where the trend is going. And so you don't want to just lease and stabilize, you want to retain. And so that's the way we look at it. Look, if a unit is empty, I'm still heating it or air conditioning it, paying taxes and sewer and water connections, right? So you'd rather keep them leased, and the way to keep them leased and maintain them is over-monetize the building. It's no different than New York City. If you look at the West Side Highway versus East Side, it's always, everyone wants to live on the East Side, right? Because it's so show. But if you look at what's happening on the West Side Highway today, everyone's over-monetizing, bringing them this way. West Side Highway has become the hot place to live. And again, because the developers have seen that, and they're addressing, they're changing their plans and over-monetizing and giving more. Finishes are very, very important. Most of these people are coming out of a home. Storage, parking, very, very important.
Okay, we're running a little long. Any other? Now, as I mentioned, I did invite, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, unless there are any questions.
Any other questions? If not, I would like to, I invited our redevelopment council just to lay out the process. And if you wouldn't mind, please introduce yourself to the members.
Sure. Mayor, Council President, members of the council, members of your administrator, and members of your professional staff, members of the public. My name is Jeff Lehrer. I'm from the law firm of Buchanan, Seskin, Bateman in Warren Township. I'm not here to talk about the merits of this at all. I'm really here just to talk to you about process this evening. I haven't even seen the plans that Mr. Forgione provided. I know that he is a fairly reputable developer in this area. I'm really here to talk to you about redevelopment in general. A little bit about myself. I've been practicing law for 34 years. have been land use redevelopment attorney, municipal attorney, zoning board attorney, planning board attorney for most of that time. Zoning board attorney for 16, I'm currently the township attorney in Warren, currently the township attorney in Raritan Township, redevelopment attorney in East Brunswick. I've also been involved in several redevelopment projects. The Golden Triangle project that Jack Morris built in East Brunswick, I handled that entire process for the municipality. In Warren Township, there is a 35-unit redevelopment off of Du Bois Avenue that I did from beginning to end. So I've been involved in the process for a long time. And the process itself starts with you as a council, where you, if you think that you want to move forward, you merely pass a resolution and refer and request to the planning board, which is, it's a combined board here. You ask the planning board to conduct what's called a preliminary investigation to determine whether this project will meet one or more of the criteria under the local redevelopment and housing law for designation as an area in need of redevelopment. There are a series of criteria: dilapidated housing, functional obsolescence. Essentially, there needs to be what you would commonly call blight in order for the planning board to make that determination. The planning board prepares a map, the planning board prepares a report through its professional. There is a public hearing at the planning board level. It's open to the public. There's 2 notices required to all interested parties within the redevelopment area that have to be provided. There has to be public notice in the newspaper. And then the planning board conducts a hearing to determine whether it meets one or more of those criteria. If it does, then they will issue a report back to you and say that it meets one or more of the criteria for redevelopment. You then take control again and then can formally designate, if you want. The report comes back to you. It is a discretionary function on your part whether you want to formally designate it as an area in need of redevelopment. The planning board merely recommends and says, yes, it does meet one or more of the criteria, and then it's up to you to adopt a resolution to formally designate as an area in need of redevelopment. The next step, if you do designate, is you can take the responsibility on yourself as the redevelopment entity to be involved in the preparation of the redevelopment plan. Or you can refer it back to the planning board to prepare the redevelopment plan. The redevelopment plan is actually becomes your overlay zoning. It becomes your zoning ordinance, and you adopt that plan by ordinance. So that process is a collaborative effort between the stakeholder, the developer, and the council and or the planning board. Ultimately, you adopt that redevelopment plan, and it has all the bells and whistles that you want to see. You can also require traffic analyses, fiscal analyses, to determine how this will fiscally make sense to the borough. You can, and all of this, by the way, to say it, Mr. Forgione, can be funded by the developer, so that you can ask that a funding agreement be prepared, and they would fund your professionals to analyze and to prepare all of those reports for your clarification and the planning board's clarification, so they understand. So once if you adopt the redevelopment plan by ordinance, that becomes the zoning. So the zoning is in place essentially for the developer to then go forward. That's not the end of the process. You then enter into a redevelopment agreement with the designated redeveloper. And it says that you will build the project as follows. There's a time frame. There is a manner within which the project is to be built. There are assurances that the project will be done, that they have the ability to get the project done. And then there's something called a pilot. You may have heard it from Mr. Forgione. That is a separate document that is called a payment in lieu of taxes if you decide to go that route. And it's really a decision that you make with the developer, because there is a profit, there is a maximum profit that an urban renewal entity can make under a redevelopment plan. If they want to go that route of do a pilot, then their profit margins are restricted by state statute. They have to create an urban renewal entity. It doesn't have to be that. It can be regular taxes. If it makes sense for the borough and for the developer to do a pilot, 95% of the income goes to the borough, 5% goes to the county, none of it goes to the school district. However, you can, if you want to give a portion of that to the school district, it's up to you. You don't have to do that, but that is entirely within your discretion. There is a significant financial benefit to do a pilot. Because of that 95%, it goes into your coffers, whereas right now, what, 18% of every dollar goes into the municipal coffers, 95% can go into the municipal coffers. So it's a significant financial benefit. That would be done by way of a financial agreement, and then that is adopted by ordinance as well. So there are two ordinance events. One is the adoption of the redevelopment plan, and the other is the adoption of a financial agreement, if you take that path. And ultimately, then the developer, after all those pieces are in place, you move forward. Mr. Forgione mentioned 2 months. It's a little bit aggressive, but I suppose that if everybody's working along that path, then I'd give you a little bit more time. I think a little bit more like, if everyone is interested in moving the process along, it can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months to get the process done.
Thank you. I invited Mr. Lara here because I know that a couple of you were surprised that we're at the planning board meeting as opposed to council tonight. Nice job explaining it, thank you. I just have 2 questions before we proceed, really to Mr. Forgione. Are you looking for any borough money for the purposes of subsidizing or investing in this project?
No, Mayor.
Okay. And then secondly, Mr. Lara suggested that you do cover, I don't know if it's required or not, but you would cover the expenses for the process in terms of the experts that you define. Is that correct in your intention?
Yes, sir. We would form a escrow agreement, Mr. Lair, who was
Funding agreement, yeah.
100 times. Would do it. I think, Mr. Lair, we do that after the blight study.
Right, it's normally done once the designation is made, the formal designation by the governing body is made, then the process of preparing the redevelopment, a plan and redevelopment agreement, a financial agreement, all of those fees are paid for. My fees, whatever professionals you retain, planner, that would all be covered under this funding agreement. So I would prepare that funding agreement, yes.
Okay. So where we sit tonight, if it's the council's pleasure, is that it basically doesn't seem to be much of a reason not to proceed with the study. But I would obviously leave that to the council, but would that be your suggestion, sir?
Well, the first step is for you to determine whether you want to refer this to the planning board.
That's what I was saying, yes.
And then a resolution would be prepared. I can prepare that resolution for you.
Okay. Gentlemen? I would like to have a motion for, any other questions? I'd like to have a motion for a resolution to have the planning board study this.
I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion further, gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Can we roll call, please?
Councilman Gray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danilo?
Abstain?
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Thank you.
Marie?
Thank you.
Can I ask just one question? How soon would, I'm a Third Street resident, how soon would this go to the planning board? Not tomorrow?
No.
Thank you everyone for your time. I really appreciate your time.
You have no intention of it being on the agenda tomorrow, the planning board, do you? One night work. Thank you. Next item on the agenda. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Council liaison assignments, as you may recall, is that at the reorganization meeting, I do make certain council liaison assignments, and a set of circumstances came up that it is incumbent of me to modify that, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And to that end, I've asked, and it's been on the agenda, to have Councilman Sibilia be with the Parks, and Councilman Giraldi to be with the Police Department. And I don't think there's any need for a motion or whatnot. It's my assignment, so if we could move on. Third item is a special library meeting. Give me a little background on Councilman Giraldi.
We had a meeting last week with the library board, and we discussed having a joint meeting between the library board and the council and mayor. It was agreed that we would put something together. We did not have a definitive date, time, or location at this point in time. We will work on that. We also need to agree on an agenda for the meeting. I would like suggestions for anyone that has any items they would like to put on an agenda. I will be in touch with the library board and work out some of the details and get back and make a report to the mayor and council.
Thank you. And being on the board, I just want to add one thing, is Anne Marie Beebe. She did have some notes that she was going to pass along. When I get them, I'll pass them to you. And please understand the issue is to essentially get some commonality with respect to the library board. There's been, I noticed during the election, there was a whole lot of hubbub over the previous years, and in essence, we thought that it would be a good idea to have the council and the library board meet together, and in essence, so that we can get a much more in-depth view of their plan and their operation. Thank you. Finance Committee report. I guess I have this and has my name on it. In essence, again, as you may recall, during the reorganization meeting I had discussed during the State of the Borough that we have this lawsuit that we are with Gannett. And the reality of the lawsuit is that, and it's a harsh reality, is that the numbers are significant. And to date, the borough has spent a couple $100,000, and to date, the special master by the court has identified that there are more or less $600,000 worth of expenses that Gannett has spent. And in essence, those are contingent liabilities that exist, quantifiable, I don't know, but relative to their scale, it makes one, particularly me, from my background, essentially be prudent in terms of conservation of cash, because at the end of the day, we really don't know if this is going to be a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and we are trying to resolve this matter. To that end, I brought up at the last meeting that I think it was prudent as an initial step. As you may know, we're going through budgeting at the moment, but as an initial step, I'd like to ask the council to essentially discuss and move on whether or not it is apropos at this point in time to put a hiring freeze on the borough. So, could I have, I guess I have to do a motion for that? To discuss it? that correct?
Well,
Or
no,
not?
you just have it
Oh,
open.
I'd like to, I'd rather not go for So I'd like to open that for discussion.
Chuck,
Yes.
personally, I don't think that we need a hiring freeze per se, because if we have something, state of emergency, or you need to hire somebody for whatever the case may be, I believe everyone up here is aware of kind of what is looming potentially with lawsuits, and I think it's our responsibility all the time to be fiscally responsible. So, I get where you're going with the hiring freeze. I just don't see, personally, the need, like, for a hiring freeze. I understand other people want it. I don't wanna spend money, honestly, so, unless we have to. And I believe most other people up here are like that as well. So, my only concern with a hiring freeze is, again, just say you got some kind of natural disaster or snowstorm and you needed to bring people in and you needed to spend money, we're gonna have to have a meeting, right, Rich, to free up some
Right,
money.
unless you craft the hiring freeze with carve-outs, you're
So,
not gonna hire
that's
any-
my,
Well, let's further discuss it.
Right, so unless you were to, frame the resolution regarding the hiring freeze to pertain only to permanent full-time or permanent part-time employees, but excluding, seasonal employees or those employees needed in times of emergency, there's a lot of ways you could carve it out.
Yeah, that was gonna be my point, because when summer rolls around, we do have to hire people to work the pools, recreation. We usually get one or two people that go along in public works and do special projects. So either you exclude them from this, because those are people we absolutely have to hire to have those functions, or not, which would be an issue. And the only other problem I would have with an across-the-board hiring freeze, that's in concrete, heaven forbid if a police officer were to quit or retire or
right,
whatever,
that's
we
exactly.
would have to maintain headcount, which could be an issue. But,
Yeah, I get the general consensus of a hiring freeze if it's not, like you said, if you have 20 and you don't wanna go to 21, I get that, but if you need 20, you need 20.
There has to be exceptions.
There should be, right, I believe.
It can't be just across the board.
Well, perhaps we could sort of look at it this way, is that, as you know, we are making a drive to try to bring this to a resolution. It's been hanging over this town for, I guess, more than many years. And I'm very sympathetic to the issue with respect to our summer needs versus our winter needs. And clearly, we finally, with the chief, we were just talking about this last night, at the budget, we finally got to full complement. And so this isn't that, we're looking at additions as opposed to a non-replacement. So what I'd like to consider is that, at least in my, I don't want to say this, my positive attitude, is that I'm hoping that we can make substantial progress with respect to the litigation in the not-too-distant future. However, what I'd like to do is to proceed with this, and even if we essentially put on let's move it out for 4 months and see where that goes, and that way we are not unduly burdening the summer programs and part-time and whatnot, but we're also not expanding our personnel count. And I think it just, again, this is just my discipline and background, that I think we need to be very careful, because while we're not clearly gonna save all the money that may be necessary, you gotta start somewhere, and I think that this is a place to start. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't know, as long as, like I said, listen, I
You
get the
make a
general
motion to
consensus
that
as long as
effect?
you craft it, right.
I'll make a,
Talk to Rich.
Yeah, you can do it by way of motion, I can memorialize it, but I think we just need to be a little more.
Specific in a resolution,
What
correct?
it is that are we not?
Yeah, I think we're, I'm on board with what you're saying. Personally, I would just like a resolution with some
Fine,
exceptions.
I think that's
some-
fair. I think.
You know, but I'm on board, I know what you're trying to say.
Well, I would just ask, Dan in particular, is that if we just cool our heels between now and the next meeting, and then we'll have the resolution
Sure.
squared with the opinions of council.
Sure.
And if you could prepare that resolution early and circulate it,
I'll do that.
such that, you know, there's opportunity to
And then we
review it.
we would revisit this in
We'll
4 months.
revisit,
You know,
well, it depends on what the resolution is, but,
Yeah.
but in essence, Mr. Winter will craft the resolution, trying to
Okay.
keep in keeping with our comments. And my observation is that, basically, if we haven't made any progress in 4 months, it's time to revisit it anyway. That as well as other things, but, I think that's appropriate. Is that consensus?
I'm
fine with that. I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. Nice to see Henry. Okay. Number five, number five, the First Avenue paving request, Dan?
Yes, Mayor, the county is going to be repaving First Avenue from Route 28 to Route 202. They're asking to do overnight construction for most likely one night. Stan has responded to them, but just wanted to know what your opinion would be, if you would permit it. We have permitted night work from on major roads before, provided it's not long-term. You may or may not feel comfortable granting it to the county. They believe it would be important to their construction, or they wouldn't be asking it. But, Stan, if you want to comment, or,
The county engineering department offered to the mayor, myself, and the chief to discuss this further. I'd like to do that and report back to the council.
Just as a point, is that, and we all know First Avenue, but the fact of the matter is, I don't know how you could do construction.
Well, the
It's
fact-
very fragile.
Right, it's,
I mean, to
but
me-
the county wants to keep the road open during construction, so they don't have to be involved with any closure and get involved with closing each 48 or 202.
But I mean, to me, it's pretty straightforward. It'd be impossible to do it, well, not impossible, but it would be,
Well, the first reaction
difficult.
was, could we do it on a Saturday? 'Cause that's how we did Johnson Drive, because we had many factors involved with the commercial activity, with the transit and with lab work. And it worked out to work it on a Saturday. County does not want to take that
I'm
out.
sure, I'm sure.
For obvious reasons, it spreads throughout the county that way. So, final question I asked was, well, what did we do last time we paid this? They paid in 2001. County didn't have the answer, and I just checked with the chief. They did it at night. So, not embedding anything new at night might be an option.
I'd like to meet with the county, but I really don't want to meet with the county unless we have to, very honestly. Chief, you have a point of view?
My concern is if we try to do it daytime, the amount of traffic
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes through there. And in speaking to the engineer, I don't see how they're doing this in one day. That was what the engineer called me, he said it was a one-day project. I've seen a lot of these projects, that is not a day. And that's just milling and paving, they're gonna do site work and curbs beforehand, but personally, the engineer will tell you better, I didn't see that being a day, the mill and pave.
But I guess what's being asked for is the actual milling for evening, or are you looking at?
They want to do the mill and pavement operation all in one night.
Right, but relative to curbing and whatnot, that would.
That would be daytime work.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I mean, at least what I see in interstates is amazing the next day how much they get done, but I know that's not an interstate.
Do you think they could do it one day?
Depends on the size of the contractor.
You know, good point.
Generally, with these type of jobs, you get a qualified contractor, a larger contractor that we attract when we do municipal projects. Top line, Dell, something like that, inter-county. So it is possible, depending on the number of people to put on, the number of trucks that are available from the plant, and not competing with another.
Does the council have a consensus? Because I mean, I'll meet with them, but I don't.
Rather do it at night, there's too much
Yeah.
traffic
Yeah.
there.
Well, they can't do it, they just did Country Club Road, and the reason why I say this is because of schools. During the day, I mean, that is just, it's a nightmare. Country Club Road, they did that a month ago, and it's a
Very
forever.
agreement.
You're all comfortable.
So I have a question. Stan, did they tell you when they're gonna do this?
No, no.
Well, see here, I live half a block off of First Avenue. Now,
Pardon me, what?
I live half a block
Oh.
in from First Avenue. If they were to do it during the winter time, when windows are closed, the impact of the sound is not gonna be as much, but if they wait
I
until
think
the
it would be
summertime.
during the winter time, the asphalt plant's closed down,
Yeah.
so the timing's up to sometime in November, beginning of December, you would be doing it.
Windows do probably be closed by then, too, anyway, that'll help.
No, this is just a, it's a consensus is all you need on this one.
Well, they're asking for a waiving of the voice.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Noise ordinance.
yeah, so by way of motion.
By way of.
Way of motion, motion authorizing. way of-
Any further conversation? Anyone like to make a motion, please, and make the waive?
I'll make one.
I'll second.
A motion was made and seconded, can I have roll call, please?
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danilo?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes with a comment, provided they do it in November, December, as Stan said.
When the conversation is over, then you vote yes or no.
Well, you can make a comment.
No, during the discussion, we had this before, and I don't want to have it again. During discussion, you have discussion. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
So we're waiving, agreeing to waiving
Yes, sir.
noise ordinance and have them do it at night.
Yeah, I'll respond.
Okay.
You will?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Riverfest duck race. And they have me, frankly, during the campaign, a lot of people asked me how come we didn't have a duck race. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say it that way. I had been at a meeting or two at the council, and it didn't seem to gel. So what I have tried to do through several of the members on council is to see how we could revive this. When I was at the Economic Development Committee forum in November, there was a consensus among the business owners that, you know, this was good, how come you're not doing it? It brought people to town, it was good for traffic and so on and so forth. So in essence, I've asked Mr. Wenner that when this was done last, it was done by a council member, which was Don Tozzi, who's sitting in the back. And in essence, one of the things I was trying to understand is how do we proceed with this at this point in time? And I was looking for your advice.
Sure. So that's totally dependent upon what role the borough is going to play in the event this time. Last time, when former Councilman Tozzi was obviously on the council, he spearheaded it along with Council President Cara, and it was really a borough function at that point. Now, we're looking at having a 501c3 come in and operate it. Now, and the 501c3 is just saying, hey, we're putting on a duck race, and the borough is really having no involvement of it other than typical issuance of permits and special event permits or whatever it might need to issue in order for the event to continue, then that's fine. If the borough is going to be, there's going to be some sort of partnership with the nonprofit entity, and the borough is getting something back from the event, like a concession, then you would have to go out for competitive contracting because the borough has an obligation to realize the maximum return on anything it does, or the minimum expenditures. So I'm just unclear as to what, you know, how the mayor and council and how Mr. Tozzi envision the
Well,
relationship.
my question would be too, is police, who's gonna pay for police, whoever, if we use are we gonna use borough equipment, are we not gonna use borough equipment? If you're giving it to an outside company, well then, all that falls upon them.
Right, but if the borough were to say, hey, this is a borough event, and we don't want to administer it, we want company X to administer, we want some other company to administer, whoever that company is, we want something in return. We're not gonna pay you, you're gonna give us something back, right? That's a concession. Just like when you bid, you generally have an obligation to go with the lowest bidder, so you're not expending more public money than necessary. When you do concessions, you have an obligation to try to, within reason, get the most money that you can for the borough coffers. And that's done by way of competitive contracting, which is simply a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting, and then you basically go out and solicit proposals. It's not a whole lot different than your standard RFP quotation process. But that's where my confusion came in, because I was not clear.
Nor mine, that's
Right.
why.
Can we ask
Yeah,
Mr.
no, I was
Tozzi what
gonna
his
say
idea
finish.
is on this project? What you thinking?
When I developed this,
Don Tazi's.
when I developed this duck race, we gave to the cancer center, and we gave, I think, 25% back to the fire department, or however the town wanted to use it. Our biggest problems that Denise knows is we never had a game of chance person. We had to use the moose, we had to use this, we had to use that. What I was planning on doing is running the entire thing with my company that has a 501c, gaming license, insurance, and everything else. What we would do is we would give back the same amount of money that we gave him back as I ran it as a council person. What you want to do with your percentage of money we're giving you back, you could give it to any organization on the town that you want to give it to. But the only reason that this is going to be a lot easier is we have the insurance, we have the 501cs, we're a 1040 nonprofit, 501 nonprofit, and we have our gaming license, because that was the biggest problem. Like Denise knows, that we had nowhere to go for somebody to handle a gaming license. We have the game of chance license. We're familiar with everything. I designed this. It should just be very simple. It would be like me being a councilman. We're getting nothing out of it. We're doing the same percentage that we did before, for the last 3 years that we had it.
Before you go any further, I know there is provision that there are extraordinary and unspecified services, and I have never endeavored to understand what that meant. But does this fall within that provision?
No.
That's a good answer. I'm gonna try another question. Okay.
No.
So based upon what you heard, what's the process?
It's if the council wants to relinquish, I don't know if the council has any ownership, or the borough has any ownership over the duck race, but I asked Mr. Tazi that earlier, late last week I asked you that, I think. And, his answer was no. There was no, the duck race, the Raritan duck race is not a borough piece of intellectual property that we have some sort of ownership and control over. It was just something that the borough
That's
put
fair.
on.
That's a
So-
fair understanding.
So that being the case, if Mr. Tazi wants to continue the duck race and just run it through his company, it'd really be no different, in my opinion, than, some other nonprofit coming in and putting on, a blanket toss or whatever it might be to raise money and saying, hey, we're gonna, out of the generosity of our hearts, we're gonna give some money back to the borough. That's fine. We're not, we don't have any involvement in that. That's purely a decision that Mr. Tazi's company would make.
Now,
So
that's just the duck race, that's not Riverfest.
Both.
It's both.
Well, I have a question too, with the bidding. So how would you put a dollar amount on the bid?
You put a dollar amount in terms of what you get back.
So a percentage of sales.
Right.
Of sales of
Nonprofit
ducks,
or-
a percentage of,
However you want to phrase, if you were doing
if
that.
people pay for a little spot there, is a percentage of that. And then back to the other thing, again, and I'm not saying it's not gonna be people there or whatever, but if DPW is gonna be closing down streets, they cost money, time and a half, police cost time and a half.
But as
You gotta do a little break-even
I
analysis of that.
understood, there's two ways to do this. Is one, you could bid it, and the other, you could, through licensing, say, hey, if you wanna run an affair, you run an affair.
Correct.
And so one is bidding as one is not. But that circles me back down to your original question, which is, regardless of approach, there are police, fire, use
Expense,
property, and so forth. And I don't honestly know how that's handled, because that's your point, right?
Yeah, I mean, how much is that gonna cost and who's
Yeah.
paying for it?
Is
Us,
that,
them?
is that
I don't know.
within the proceeds that the incremental, to the extent we can define that, the incremental proceed, the incremental costs are basically ours to bear out of the proceeds, or how does that work?
Last time it was bared to just as the event, just like the bike race and everything else. I
Okay.
mean, the only thing you're gonna gain is there's no money to spend for advertising, there's nothing for you guys to do except get a check at the end of the duck race. That's your bottom line.
And you would have all the help that sets up everything as far as
You would
the,
need nothing at all because it's going out to a company, we would have our volunteers do the
okay.
events, just like the other 8 events that we're doing.
And the firemen would help you with the duck race part like they did the last couple of years on a voluntary basis?
Exactly.
And as far
And
as,
they're all willing to do it,
And
because
as
I
far
talked to them already.
as far as eating some of the public works and some of the police expense, the bigger picture is we're bringing thousands of people into town,
Well,
and
that's the economic
that's certainly the economic benefits offset having to pay for some overtime.
But you're giving, we gotta be careful because we're giving a benefit.
Right, you're giving something you wouldn't like, if you keep this, forget about it being the duck race, it's just whatever event that's going on. If that entity, that organization came to the council, said, we wanna put this on, you say, hey, that's great, you know, go to Dan and Maggie, get whatever special event permits you need. If you have to, there's any police services that are needed, you gotta talk to the chief's gonna come in like he did his report with the parade down for whatever, New Year or the New God, or the Hindu festival.
Oh, my, yeah, my brother.
Right, your friends. You know, that's a normal process. We're not treating the entity any differently than we would treat any other entity. If we start giving back something and say, okay, we're gonna defray some of your costs because we like how this is going, and you're gonna give us something else in return, then you're starting to blur the lines a little bit.
Yeah.
So, that's just my, and the competitive contracting is, you know, in all fairness, I mean, Don's nonprofit is probably the only one who's gonna be able to do it, you know? So,
That's what I was
No, I
explaining.
get that, but legally, if you get somebody that says you did this, blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
Well, we need to do it
Somebody
though,
could,
because
I think the reason for competitive contracting is that if some entity says they can run the event and give you more back.
right.
Right.
And so that's sort of a reverse
But
bid
there-
if you want.
the
That's
reality
the
is,
point.
they're not gonna do that.
Well, that's why you still gotta go through the process.
So you go through the process, but the reality is they're probably,
All right.
So is that your consensus, you wanna go through the process?
well, do we have to?
Pardon?
Is it a necessity to go through the process?
Well,
Well-
If we're gonna provide DPW and police,
Yeah,
we have to
I
go
get
through
that.
it. We can't speculate.
I get that.
So if we provide that, then the process is mandated.
Okay, I mean, I
Have
guess
you
you have to go
get
through the
special,
process.
is that, that's what I understood it to say, I don't know.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Well, Stan, this is coinciding with Riverfest, which is undoubtedly a borough-run sponsored organization, correct? Or not?
Always done through the EDC, wasn't it?
That was part of EDC, the Riverfest.
Yeah.
I guess.
And we provided police services for that, we provided fire
Yeah.
protection services,
Yeah.
all that, because it was through the economic development.
Right.
Okay.
So what do we have to do?
Well, since Don Christensen's here, what it seems that, and I apologize, I don't have the history here, but what it seems is that the Economic Development Committee, in conjunction with the council, put forth Riverfest and the duck race. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Okay. So now it's, the EDC is gonna essentially, I guess, sponsor or head up Riverfest. But at the end of the day, you're gonna use in this case, the 501c3 approach, is that correct?
I think that's right, and I'm Don Christensen, Economic Development
Sorry,
Chair.
I apologize.
We conducted 3 Riverfests so far, and, you know, Riverfest and Duck Race really are together, even though they're 2 separate events, they happen on the same day, they coincide. We always have generated revenues from Riverfest too, because we do charge a small token fee for exhibits at the Riverfest.
Now, who's gonna do that if we go forward in this year, 2016?
Well, we did that with Don and Denise and the committee last
Yeah,
year.
But Don's not here anymore.
Well, I think that would all be a part of it, right? That would all be a part of it. In other
So
words,
it is both.
yeah, there was a big effort to get the exhibitors to come. I think we had maybe 100 exhibitors at the Riverfest. Some of them get free exhibits, like if they're environmentalists or Duke Farms, perhaps might get free exhibits. But others are happy to pay, particularly the food vendors, pay the borough a fee to exhibit. And so it's not just the duck race. The duck race was kind of an add-on to generate other increased revenues.
So as I understand it, the issue in balance is Department of Public Works and Police and maybe others. If we provide that service, right, then it's a bidding issue? If we
Well,
don't,
just based upon what was just said, I think it's just safer all around to go out for competitive just authorize competitive contracting. It's not a laborious process, it's not a, you know, a day process. So we can draw it up very quickly, it's gonna be very simple. We'll also work with Council President Kara and Dan in terms of understanding, and you, sir, as well, in terms of understanding what exactly the services that are being solicited are, right? And then we just throw whatever's the highest percentage, you know.
I mean, I'd like to say, the other option could be if the borough decides to run it. Don is talking about, you know, the money from the vendors coming to the borough. If the borough says we're running it, we will collect the funds, we'll provide the police services and public works for no cost. And I don't, you know, I don't know, in that case, would you have to have a competitive contract?
Yeah, but we don't wanna run. Who's gonna run?
Okay, then you.
You already got someone who's willing to run it, that's run it for 3 years.
But I mean, is Don doing it as an official borough, you know, as an organization, you know, almost like a recreation commission or whatever, as opposed to saying I'm running it through a 501c? I'm just.
What I'm hearing is that the borough wants to, along with the Riverfest and the Duck Fest, maintain some sort of affiliation with it. You want to be able to provide certain services.
Right, that's important. It's good for the town.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would just recommend resolution
I
authorizing.
mean, this is an economic development function for the town, so it's gonna benefit the town no matter how you look at it, whether it's monetary revenue or people coming in and supporting the town by buying the goods and services offered by the town.
Right, we get that, so we just need to know what the mechanism is. Don, you wanna say something?
And as far as when you have your vendors come in, 60% of the vendors were free vendors coming in, and Denise could verify that. I think we took in about $3,200 of vendor money, and I think we spent $3,600 on advertising in newspapers and other places. We would be handling all the expenses. So we will be taking a chance on being able to make our money back. No matter how you look at it, you're getting a profit at the end.
I don't think there's any disagreement on that. It's really a matter of structure, such that we could adhere to the public contract laws, I understand it. Okay. How long, okay. I think that's the consensus.
that's the issue.
So we would have something next meeting?
You can do it right now.
Right now, I was
Resolution
gonna suggest
authorizing
this could
competitive
go.
contracting. for-
Because I know this has a long lead time.
Right. It's not incredibly long, but it's longer than.
No, I mean that product, I meant to prepare for
Right,
the event.
So it'd just be a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting for the solicitation of a provider or service provider for the Raritan Riverfest Duck Festival and the Raritan Riverfest in conjunction with the EDC. That's the motion. Someone wants to make that motion?
Do you want a resolution on 32
That's
or?
what 133,
32.
132 was the resolution authorizing submission to the planning board of a service study, so 133.
All right.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray,
Yes.
Council President Kara,
Yes.
Councilwoman Danilo,
Yes.
Councilman Fooey,
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi.
Yes.
Councilman Sedilli.
Yes.
And I just want to thank Don Tozzi and Don Christensen for coming in their comments. We appreciate it and help us, all right?
Okay, where do we stand with this now?
So, Mayor, may I? Where is-
Please, and just briefly.
Right.
And then we'll move on.
We're gonna issue basically what's an RFP, request for proposals, for a provider to perform the operation and of the Raritan Riverfest and the Duck Race.
So we should have an answer by in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you'll have it very shortly, yes.
Okay, let's move on. Number 7, annual stream cleanup. Dan Jackson, please.
Yes, Mayor, the organization that is involved with cleaning up the Raritan River wants to clean up on Saturday, April 16th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. I don't know if technically we have to approve it, but I certainly think you at least should acquiesce to it. And if you want to authorize any publicity, that we put it on our website. I certainly think you should. I can tell that to Danielle. Well, they say that, it's your choice.
Did we give us
They
something
didn't say,
before?
no, we didn't, not to my knowledge.
$300?
Yeah, I was just asking if we ever did that before, I don't remember, he said no.
I don't remember.
No. At a clean community, they suggested, then that's the question.
Do we need a resolution just to put it on the public?
I think a motion, just, I think a motion it would be fine.
Motion to help
I'll make a
publicize the event.
Second.
All in favor? Suburban, number 8, suburban vehicle transfer to Department of Public Works.
Right, this is one of these that authorizes as administrator that the vehicle go to Public Works, but then the council would say, why was I informed, type of thing, so
We're
just
informed.
asking you, Lou Gower says he doesn't need the Chevrolet Suburban, although they used it for many, many years. It's an older one. Public Works said it would be of great value to them. If there's no objection, we'll bring this forward to the Public Works.
Thank you.
Okay.
Calendar,
Consensus.
anything further? Good. Calendar of meetings?
Yes, I just wanted to make note of, there's a revised calendar of meetings, under the resolution. The second Tuesday in November was overlooked at Election Day, and therefore it's been removed, so just want to remind council, there's only one meeting in November, and that's on Tuesday.
Thank you. 10, issuance of social affair permit.
Yes, I want to bring to council's attention that the ABC has instituted a new online application process for social affair permits. Therefore, processing of permits will be handled within 7 business days, and these permits are no longer required the consent of council. And the borough attorney can go into detail on that.
Right, so it's more of a streamlined process, and they don't require the consent of the council unless the council has an ordinance requiring its consent for social affair permits. We don't have that, so I just wanted to bring to your attention that if you do want to have a say in whether these social affair permits are approved or not, then you need to amend the code accordingly. If you just, you want to be abreast of what's going on, and things tell you, and that's it. That's all.
Thank you. I have item 10, appointments. I had 2 appointments that are identified here for the Historic and Cultural Committee. Alternate number 1 is Ed Rubarski for a 1-year term, and alternate number 2 is George Tornalone. And I'd just like to put that into the minutes. And then the second appointment is with the council's consent. This is the Board of Health, member term for 3 years, Karen Mira, from 1/1/15 to 12/31/18. Can I have a motion, please? Make a motion.
Second?
Discussion?
Yes. I have nothing against this person, I don't know this person, but I can tell you this person is not as qualified as the person she's replacing on the Board of Health, which is Connie Del Rocco. And the only reason I heard for her being not reappointed after 14 years on the Board of Health, someone said to me after the senior meeting, it was political. Well, if it's political, this is not what I consider putting Raritan first. It's more like putting politics first. And Connie Del Rocco should have been reappointed.
Everybody else? Roll call.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Kara?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danila?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
No.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Abstain.
Thank you. Before we start ordinance, I don't know if I have the right number, but 2016-1, we did receive a communication, Dan, from you today about the governor's veto. Does that affect this and we should table it, or should we proceed?
The $50 that is really a property maintenance code fee, rental inspection, as opposed to the mandated fire. I don't see it that way, but I will, Mayor, defer to the
No, I agree with
borough
Dan.
attorney.
What the mayor vetoed today had to do with rental inspections and basically part of the property maintenance.
Fine. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, and I know this was printed before I did the, oh. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't know that's what you were waiting for.
They've been waiting a long time.
You waiting for the purchase order for the fire truck?
You can just go through.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Oh,
We're
okay.
fine.
All right, sorry, I honestly thought you were here for the presentation. Okay, the ordinance number 2016-1, an ordinance of the Borough of Raritan, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 167, Fire Prevention of Code of the Borough of Raritan, Section 6, Inspection of Multi-Family Dwellings and Apartments regarding fees. Can I have you have that in your packet? Can I have a motion on that?
Make a motion.
Second, please.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2016-2, I would like to table that, please, for further discussion. Okay. The ordinance.
Would we have to
There's
do
the
a
motion.
Oh, we need a motion for that? Have a motion, please. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2016-1 listed above for the first reading and will be considered for final passage after public hearing thereon in the meeting of the Borough Council to be held in the municipal building 22 First Street, Raritan, New Jersey, on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016 at 7 p.m. or any other time and place to which the meeting for further consideration of the ordinance shall be adjourned. Okay, resolutions, now we have resolution 2016-01-25 budget transfers. And you have all of these in your packet, so if anyone has a question, let me know. But may I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Okay, Denise Carey.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Resolution number 2016-01-26, amusement device licenses. Again, this is in your packet. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 2016-01-27, as the discussion by our clerk, amending the 2016 calendar of meetings. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution number 2016-01-28, railroad parking refund. Again, this is in your packet. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Councilman
Second.
Giraldi, Sebelia. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Resolution number 2016-01-29, appointment of firefighter Gabe Rufy. It's in your packet. Again, can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Congratulations. Is Gabe here? No?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, tell him we say congratulations.
All right, good job.
The resolution 2016-01-30, resolution of the Borough of Raritan, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing reduction of performance bond for Stone Bridge at Raritan. Again, rather detailed, and I admire you. The detailed discussion is in your packet. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Kara, Councilwoman Daniluk, roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Karen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Danow?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Resolution 2016-01-31, just as an intro to this, as you may recall at the reorganization, we appointed Adam Bench as our prosecutor. He advised me earlier, in fact, I think it was on Sunday, that he has an appointment to serve in the governor's office, and as a consequence will be leaving his firm and going to the governor's office as a deputy counsel to the governor.
Deputy Attorney General.
Yes, and as a consequence, will no longer be able to serve. I did ask him and others for a recommendation, and we have I have a proposal that we use the Charles Schalk of the firm of Morrow, Savo, Camarino, Grant, and Schalk to be our prosecutor. And he has, I don't know if it was into the packet, but he has sent his information and acceptance of the position if appointed. So resolution 2016-01-31, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Councilwoman Para, Councilwoman Daniluk, discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Kara?
Yes.
Councilwoman Daniluk?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Congratulations to Matt Mensch. Approval of bills. You have in your packet again, approval of bills. If you have, wait a second. Okay. Everyone has looked. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Giraldi.
Second.
Councilman Bray. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Kara?
Yes.
Councilwoman Daniluk?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Okay. So now the big event in our corporate history of the borough of Raritan, a fire truck. Purchase order request, number one, fire truck. Fire department, purchase of Pierce fire engine, state contract award number A83457 by Pierce Manufacturing, Inc. in the amount of $470,000 to replace our round the roll truck. And I thank you guys, you've worked very hard on speccing this truck out over many months. And to your credit, you got it right, you got it within budget, and we do have in your packet an availability of funds for this, so I'd like to have a motion on that.
Make a motion.
Second.
Will Giraldi and Councilman Sebelia. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bray?
Yes.
Council President Kara?
Yes.
Councilwoman Daniluk?
Yes.
Councilman Fooey?
Yes.
Councilman Giraldi?
Yes.
Councilman Sebelia?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Okay, old business. We had any old business?
Yeah, the calendar.
Yes.
I spoke with Council President Kara about, and she mentioned farming it out next year, 2017. But I've been working with Bruce Dooley on it, and we're halfway through it now.
But we're in 16, right?
Yeah.
Or 60.
I'm following.
So we're following it from,
Are we gonna go 12 months, 18 months?
I think 12 months.
Well, last time I asked you what was required, a needs gap, what was required from where you are in order to get it done?
Well, we just need all the information, and we could have it done in a couple of weeks.
Can't we just do it online for this year, instead of sending them out and then?
Can I-
Well,
It's already.
Well, the mayor had an idea. If we do a printing, instead of doing mailing, we're printing out 2,000 copies. We could print out a portion of that, maybe a few hundred, and then make it available for anybody who wants a printed copy, have it available at the library, have it available at the municipal building. We would emphasize the online calendar, and also, once we're done with it, we'll have it in PDF format, so anybody who wants their own copy can just download it to their computer if they want it.
Sorry to interrupt. You can also offer it at the people who donated money. You could have it at their businesses, so you generate foot traffic into their store. I mean, that would be, I think it would be a common courtesy, if you're not gonna deliver it.
Some kind of
And there's
payback
money
for the
left
people that paid for this.
Yeah, I mean, if, I don't know, say if Tropianos gave money, give a bunch to Tropianos, so the people go in,
We took the money, we were gonna produce
That's what it's
If
for.
I don't wanna do that in the future, that's fine.
Right.
But I think now, since we already did that and
Yeah.
promised and we didn't
Right.
deliver, we have to do
You have to-
something.
Well, my understanding, that $4,000 is leftover from the last calendar, not money that's
So
specific.
that's money that came from business people in Raritan.
Right.
For
It's
calendar.
meant for the
Right,
county.
and then
It
you
just,
have, and
it
then.
just doesn't all of a sudden become free money. I mean, it's not.
No,
That's not
no,
the
it's just
purpose.
for the calendar, but I'm saying, my understanding is that was money left over from the last calendar, which ended March 2014.
Well, you have either two choices. You can either return the money or essentially use the money for the next calendar.
Well, that's what I said, we'll
Right.
apply it to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all saying the same thing.
And then it should cover the expenses. If we don't do a complete mailing, I don't know what mailing it's costed in 2016 for something like that.
Well, why don't, if it covers a full mailing, why don't we do that this year? Next year, just go to electronic calendar, so we won't have to bother with the hard copy anymore. Well, the interesting thing, again, is that if we have 4,000, whether it be leftover or whether it be specific for this calendar, and the fact of the matter is, we have a way that can effectively get the calendar out to the public, whether it be PDF or some combination of PDF and printing. It would seem to me that if it costs $1,000 to do it, well, then you have $3,000 less to do it again next year. Well, that's fine, as long as we use it for. But I think, and I don't know how you keep the counting, but I mean, as long as it's a dedicated fund, I'm hard pressed to say that because it's $4,000 there, we have to spend $4,000.
No.
And my point relative to Councilman Foley is to say that, look, there's a lot of people who are tech savvy, there's a lot of environmental people who say be green, this, that, and the other, and all those are wonderful things. But equally, there's a fair share of people who don't have access, and therefore we need printed copies.
Right.
Now, in essence, what our conversation is that, hey, we don't know what the demand is. You guys will create, as you said, an electronic file, a PDF file. And in essence, so you go to somebody and you print out, pick a number, 100 of them. And you put them down in the municipal building, and anybody wants, or the library, or both, and then everybody wants it. And so that way, we're getting the printed calendar out to those who need it. And we're not essentially sending another calendar out rather expensively to people who put it under the drawer and they rarely look at it. And so that was the issue. And I was, frankly, in speaking with, I don't know if he's still here, but speaking with the Economic Development Committee, is that one of the things that they really wanted to do was to make sure that you had the businesses that were on there. I don't know how you know who the businesses are that you need to put on the calendar, because somebody gave that money and they should essentially do that. And Don Christian's, I'm saying, his point was, you should have, like, these were like contributors, whoever they were, and then list, these are the other businesses in town. I would assume Don Tozzi has that, he collected the money, so.
I still have a copy of the last calendar, so it's a simple thing, just look at the calendar, see who's sponsored.
Yeah, but what Don Christensen's point was, can we also
Have a listing.
have a listing of,
Sure.
people who paid and then the other businesses in town? So, and that's,
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, I mean, but
Yeah.
as long as we do something
fine.
to.
And my point is, we don't have to spend $4,000 because there is some expense, I'm sure.
It's gonna be big printing, and I tell you what, the calendars, sometimes they're wonderful for paper copies. We get new residents who come in, we know because they're asking a lot of questions.
Sure.
So, okay, we can give them the website is on the calendar. It's a fantastic thing to give to a person who's new to town. They really are like, wow, now I can connect with this. They know that they can go to the website and do what they do like. So some printed copies.
Yeah, but his point was, have 100, and if you're getting low, you get down 25, you give another 100.
Actually, the people who probably use the most are the seniors, you distribute the senior.
Downstairs.
Give all the seniors.
Yeah, however, you fellas want to do it, but I didn't feel. Do you have enough direction on this? Is everybody happy with that?
Yeah, as long as we get that, because that's the way the money was collected.
And your question was, is this 12 months or what? I think we should be getting on a calendar.
I just thought if you went.
We gotta get on the
I said, you
calendar.
don't have to do it again for another 18 months, I mean, just a little.
I think everything changes here in January. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
You're
fine.
better off starting in February,
I was just gonna say,
the
start
calendar,
start
because,
February through
Fine.
January of next
Fair
year.
enough?
That's good.
yeah.
Are you good to go?
Yeah, I think so. I think the advantage of getting away from the paper copy is the fact that you have it online, and there's a change that has to be made. It's a simple
Well, Jim,
Oh, yeah,
but Jim, it's an old blue collar town, a lot of old people, and they love the calendar.
But you
That's why we did it. We all agree, we all agree.
Okay.
We're good.
So, the only thought is that please circulate among the council and Dan and Maggie, your final draft. And then,
Sure.
then.
Oh, yeah,
then we
yeah.
go- then we
Council
go.
member,
Okay?
sure, absolutely.
That's very fine.
Excellent.
Okay.
In the timeline?
Yes.
Okay, under old business, I brought this up last year, but it just kind of fell on deaf ears. Sorry. When there's an incident that goes on in town, I know the police usually call the mayor, but the council people are just not informed. And we find out 2 days later, I'm finding out information that people on the street know more than I know.
Well, this mayor hasn't received a phone call.
Oh, okay, okay.
But
But
Chief,
we
don't you,
have
you
a
sent him out?
committee. I don't know if you're gonna call.
I've got
Now we
12,
have Paul
weather forecasts.
Giraldi is the police committee. I mean, can you inform us?
If I get it, I did throw one out through Dan with
I'm not even talking
Cars.
snow, I'm
With-
talking other incidents.
the vehicles and the stolen cars and all that, so
Okay.
we
I
didn't
did
put
get
that
that
out.
one.
When I got it.
Okay,
When I get it, I'll put it out, but I have to get it.
okay. So then the chief would get to you, because he's the police committee now.
Well,
Okay,
I usually call, my calls are usually to the mayor and the police commissioner,
okay.
and it's very, very general on what I can release 99% of the time.
I understand that. We don't need all the detail. I get that.
So those are the two that get the phone calls as soon as.
The
we get
residents
them.
know more than us, though.
It's not
Well, I think that always.
I don't know if it's always
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah,
That's
right.
true.
Yeah, and frankly, if we get a call, whichever one of us, we'll circulate it out.
yeah, that's fine too, because that
Okay.
works, sometimes you don't
Because
read
I get stuff-
messages right away, and if you get one and you throw it out, it's not gonna hurt anyone.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Paul and I have been going back and forth already a couple of things,
Okay, all right.
all right?
Mhm.
Any more old business? Okay, committee reports, anyone have committee reports? Can we start, Paul, with you?
Well, I
With the library?
already gave the booklet on the library. The Basilone Committee meeting was for tomorrow, but now I believe it's next week, so I don't really have anything else to give.
Yeah, I have a couple. For the Board of Health, for January 2016, we had our first meeting. We had a new member, Marie Chufos, was sworn in. Paul Machala was elected as president, and Catherine Estes, vice president. The speaker came from the county and talked about priority areas for education, such as HPV vaccinations, emergency preparedness, and food safety. And on Saturday, January 16th, the free rabies clinic was at North Thompson Firehouse, and it ran for 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we had a total of 123 animals come through the door, 108 dogs and 15 cats. Majority of those animals coming from Raritan and Somerville, and it was quite a success for the Board of Health. And finally, they would also like to recognize January as Cervical Health Awareness Month. And for recreation, we also had our first meeting. The main thing I wanted to say from there they'd like to bring back opening day for baseball and softball back to the main street of town from, I guess they had it here, right? Last year they had it they had the parade here at the municipal building, right? Or baseball and softball.
Yeah, they walked from here to Frelinghuysen Park.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I always have a feeling on it.
Yeah, that's right.
They want to see if they can bring it back down the Main Street Raritan, but we can discuss, I don't know if that's now or at a later time, but that's what they wanted me to bring here, so that's all I have. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I know,
that's-
I'm just
always a
just bringing it here and like they asked, and we can,
Under Public Works, I would like to commend the Department of Public Works for doing a great job with the snow removal, considering that we had 25 to 30 inches. The storm was not customary, there was a lot of snow, and that is why mounds of snow was all over the place. Public Works began early Saturday morning, and we did secondary roads on Monday and Tuesday, in between garbage pickup, which has been a challenge. Arrangements are being made to remove snow from Somerset Street starting on Thursday. This will allow residents and businesses to resume their daily routine in a safe manner. And then under municipal court was canceled yesterday, and that those cases will be in February, the 2 dates we have for February court. And that's it.
Thank you.
Sure. The Environmental Commission met last Thursday, but at this time, it was our first meeting, and at this time, there's nothing significant to report.
Yes, regarding public safety, the fire department wants to remind residents that fire hydrants have to be kept clear of snow. If you have a fire hydrant in front of your house, taking the time to clear your sidewalk, to clear your driveway, clear the fire hydrant at the same time. And there needs to be a 3-foot circumference around the fire hydrant, and there has to be a clear path from the fire hydrant to the street. God forbid you have an emergency, these guys don't have the time to be shoveling snow away from the hydrant. They want to get connected as quickly as possible. So I pass that on to anybody watching, especially after this storm. I know all the hydrants got buried this year. The Historical and Cultural Committee met last week, and they laid out plans for the coming year. They're planning again a walking tour of Raritan, probably in April. Working on a walking tour booklet, which I took last year. This is very interesting. A lot of great stuff about the history of Raritan in it. And again, the same issue they have every year. They're hoping we can get a museum in this town somewhere. And there have always been ideas tossed around where to have it. I suggested, the firehouse, part of the firehouse. There's a room here that could certainly suffice, and that's a historical building. I told them, when I was on the council before, I had buildings and grounds for 6 years. Well, now it's called public properties. And that was my pet project then, to try to get that restored. And we do have over 400,000, you told me right, Ken, over 400,000 in grant money still available.
Not quite, but.
Something in that neighborhood.
How much, Jimmy? 400?
400,000 in grant money.
400.
Yeah, we did the figures.
Did we say 300, 175?
No, you had
400 total, I remember the two.
The
It's
total,
not, it's not as much as you think.
You know
In
what,
terms- it really isn't.
$400,000 says a lot to me.
It sounds like a
Yeah,
lot.
I really
It's like a
think
fire
we're
truck.
talking about a lot of the bolstering of the basement, you're talking about putting in things that barely needs to have an updated sprinkler system.
That's a
Every
money
season.
pit.
Some of the,
That's a money pit. How much money have we spent on that building? Give me an idea.
A lot.
Take a guess. A guess.
it could be $1 million if you take the outside.
And it's all
Fire
grant money.
department and.
No, this is grants.
It's all grant money.
And it's no.
The old police station.
Done. What building was speaking of, I'm sorry?
16 Anderson Street.
It used to be the old police station.
Yeah, it's,
That's a high number.
It's a historical building, it's 110 years old. At one time it housed everything. One cell jail.
How about houses, pigeons?
Now I understand, the pigeons are back and
The
they're
pigeons are back.
droppings there and
We're feeding the pigeons.
all right, let's,
But anyway, to make a long story short, I'm gonna see what we can do about that, start pushing that along. The holdup in the past of restoring that, one of the big problems was you have to put an elevator in there because of the handicap access. And elevators, to put an elevator in a building, is a lot of money. People don't realize how much it costs, right? Dan, to put an elevator in, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that basically, and then they talked about possibly getting a Veterans of War Memorial Park, again, around the Basilone, across from the Basilone statue. Let's talk about that. The only other thing, the seniors. The seniors had their first meeting of the year. The mayor was there and swore in the new members, the new officers. John Arecchio is president, John Hudak is vice president, myself as secretary. Sandra Pesaresi as financial secretary, Charles Goodyear as treasurer, George Schimmel, sergeant arms, and Evelyn Moss as chaplain. And their next meeting is February 10th, and if you're 55 or over, they're always looking for new members.
thank you. If I may just interject, one of the things I've noticed by going and swearing in people is you get to see a whole lot of things. And in essence, in particular, I noticed that there are many of our historical artifacts in many, many places. And I've also noticed that a fair number of our historical artifacts are really exposed and not properly managed, I'll put it that way, for safekeeping. And so I've discussed this very briefly at the library, and it is within their strategic plan or mission statement. And I've discussed it with John Pacifico and Peter Vitale of the Barcelona Parade Committee. And I discussed it with Jim Fitticaro of the Historic and Cultural Committee. And I have asked them to please get together and let's see if we could essentially first archive, you know, and what I mean by archive, I mean, you know, a list from 1 to 1,000, however many things we have, so that we can at least have a record of where they are. And then in that process, let's try to figure out where they can be presented securely. Because right now, some have names, some don't have names, some are broken, some are on top of tabletops that people put drinking glasses on or soda cans. And so just in background, I just wanted to say that because of that rotation that I went through, I asked them to please get together, and let's hope that they do. I will follow up, but let's hope they do. Councilman Sebelia, please.
Board of Ed, teachers have come to a tentative agreement with the Board of Ed, hasn't been finalized yet. Also tonight at 8 o'clock, they should have announced the new superintendent, so they should have one actively. That's it for the Board of Ed. The EDC, I'm on that. We haven't met yet. I'm going to meet with Don Christensen tomorrow at 6 o'clock, and that's all I got.
Good. I think we have a February meeting that's scheduled.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. I want this. Okay, now we open again for public comments. Anyone like to speak, please? Yes, sir.
Bob Lee, 87 East Somerset Street. I know you have an ordinance about cleaning sidewalks.
Yes, sir.
And down from me, the last 2 buildings on Somerset Street East haven't been done. The other side is state property, no telling when it would get done. All these people are walking in the streets.
Yes, sir.
And the traffic volume is tremendous.
Yes, sir.
And the same thing on the other side, there's state property along with Walgreens, and they didn't do them. I'd like to see someone get these people to open their sidewalks up so people could walk on the sidewalk instead of out the road.
I concur with your observation, absolutely.
That's basically it.
So that's property maintenance, right?
Yeah.
On Main Street for those properties, so does somebody want to tell Frank that yet?
91 and 93 aren't done, but then you have that state piece of land in front of Horizon. No telling, and you got the same thing on the opposite side of 206.
There's a lot of places that have not been done.
I know, I'm not,
Right.
I know what you're saying, I appreciate you.
I mean, a lot of people walk down to some of them.
Okay.
And the way the traffic volume is, and the snow in the streets, it's
You're absolutely
kind of
correct.
dangerous.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Bob.
Mr. Lee.
Tom Brown, 18 Elmer Street. Mayor, I just would like to remind you on the subject of the proposed hiring freeze.
Yes, sir.
Last night, Mr. Laverty brought up the subject of the storm sewers. I believe we've talked about this in planning board, and I think there's over 400 storm sewers that are in need of attention. Many of them drastically need of attention. And he pointed out that the mason or the man that he had on his team that had the mason experience has retired, and he has someone that he wanted to hire with enough work for full time. So when you take into consideration the hiring freeze, there's an example of somebody that's going to be critical to the town that we need to hire.
Well, I do recall very clearly that conversation, and I also think that we will evaluate that in terms of whether that be a contractor or an individual, because everyone forgets about the benefits and with respect to. And then if you also notice in that conversation, he also said that he needed a second helper and then he also needed a front loader.
Lots of
And-
things.
Yeah, and so in essence, I think there is a reasonably detailed analysis that needs to be looked at relative to whether you essentially hire and have a person do that, because again, that's probably a 9-month job, because you're not gonna do it in days like we're in right now. So that, I was present there as were you, and I am fully aware of that, and in fact, everyone I believe was there, so I appreciate your comment. Thank you. I'd like to, no further? Yes, sir.
Tazi, 38 Glacier Avenue. You guys are batting this calendar thing around for a while now. When I first became a councilman, they signed me the calendar to do, and me and Stephanie started in January. We worked out in February, and the calendar went out in March. Second year, the calendar went out in March. Third year, I didn't do it, and something happened, the computer freeze or something. The calendar costed $3,900 to have it made, and if you went to the post office, they had a bulk mailing rate for you, which covered everybody in the town, every business, everything. So, what I would assume to do is if you take the last year calendar that we did, it's only January, spend February on updating the same calendar and mail it out with the same people's names on the back that sponsored you, because they gave us the 4,200 from the year before, and you got your calendar. Our calendar never went out until March.
Okay.
It was a 1-year calendar, because it always took January and February to get all your new meetings and stuff done.
Good.
But the way we did it the second year was, we used a new post office mailing, because if everybody remembers, the first year we hand-delivered it.
Yeah, we delivered it, yeah.
And then the second year, for the same price, we used the bulk mailing at the post office.
Okay.
But it never went out until March, so you got another month and a half, why not do it now?
And listen, I'm just letting you know that bulk mail, when you make that, talk to Cindy down at the postal service, there's a size that needs to meet, because if it doesn't, it's not going out.
And it has to have a code printed on top
Yes.
of it before you're allowed to mail it.
Correct.
But we did
Thank
mail
you.
a bulk mail, she did let us do it in bulk mail. So
Thank
the money's there, so I'm saying, why not just do it like we've been doing it, and the next year, do an 18-month calendar, at least you can start over again.
Thank you. I think we covered that. That's good. Anybody else? Close the public comment section. Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, guys. All right.